Hey, this is T on Just Cool Radio, disturbing the silence and catching the eyes of many. Okay. Hi guys, hope everyone is okay on this beautiful Sunday. And I hope just everyone has a good time, whatever you plan to get up to. Today we're going to be discussing topics on... Today we're going to be talking about topics on fatherhood. I'm here with my guest today, Del Boy.
Yo, yo, yo.
And get in position. Sorry, so I'm here with my guest Del Boy, who I'm going to be asking a few questions today in regards to fatherhood. Any questions you guys want to kind of share with us as well, be sure to put them in the comments and I will try my best to respond. So, as I said, it's about fatherhood and I'm here with my guest Del Boy.
What's happening?
So how I want to start it is basically, getting you to discuss with us, your experience in fatherhood, your own personal experience in terms of you being a young person, the relationship that you had with your parent, your father in general, and then, exploring the relationship that you have with your own children and just, the kind of emotions and experiences that you've had.
Cool. Well, I grew up with my dad.
Okay.
So from the ages of, how old are you in year 3? About 6 or 7? No, about 8? Is it? About 8. So about ages of 8, I grew up with my dad, and do you know what? I had great times. Like, he took me on holidays. He showed me a lot of stuff, a lot of love. Do you know what I'm saying? Nurturing, um, and overall had great experiences. Do you know what I mean? So from the age of 8 to about 14, being like a young teenager, and then I moved back in with my mom. But throughout that age gap, like he was the best father that I could even think of. Like, do you know what I'm saying? He stepped up and done what he had to do, whether it was showing me love, discipline, or look, do better in football or schoolwork and anything like that. Do you know what I'm saying? So my experiences with him was really good, and he was a great role model and still is to this day. Do you know what I'm saying? So I guess that just paved the way for me to act how I act with my daughter and my son.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? And yeah, overall it was just good. Do you know what I'm saying? Not everything's rosy, but he done the best that he could have to his abilities, and yeah, raised me pretty well, to be honest. I think.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, it's
You know what
nice.
I'm
It's
saying?
nice. It's nice to hear, and it's nice to kind of have a positive perspective because I think a lot of the times people share their stories of kind of like absent fathers and the
Yeah.
effects that it's had. So to have someone who has had a positive experience, I think that's really, really
No,
great.
definitely hands on. Like, he wasn't absent, even when before I lived with him and afterwards. He was always about. Do you know what I'm saying? There wasn't a time where I couldn't call him. There wasn't a time where he wasn't calling me or I wasn't seeing him. He was very active. Do you know what I'm saying? He'd leave work to come and see me at football, or if I had an event at school, outside of school. Like, he was always very present, and I think um he definitely instilled that with me. So now with my kids, I'm always make sure that I'm present, whether it's my daughter's got a netball match or parents' evening, or my son's going football. Like, I'm very hands on with my son with his football. So yeah, definitely, he's definitely around all the time. To be honest.
Cool. What would you say is like your one of like your core memories of like you and your dad, like whether it be an outing or I don't know, a family party? It could be anything. Like what would you say that
Um,
stands out?
do you know what? From when I was really young, so my dad DJs.
Oh, sick.
So I remember being really young and it being like whether it was a family function or like a friend's party. I remember going to like parties with him and he'd be DJing and everyone would be like in the house vibes in, and there's loads of food. It was just always love in it. Do you know what I'm saying? Now I can't remember like negative times. Like, it was always like just love, and then little things like if it was like a Friday, I remember like on a Friday, Friends used to come on
Okay.
years
Oh, the
ago.
pro the
Yeah, the
TV show.
program.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I was young in primary school, and I always remember on a Friday, if Friends came on, I knew I could stay up a bit later, innit? Do you get me? And me and my dad used to sit down and watch Friends and things like that. Or he'd be talking about Liverpool, the football team or whatever. But yeah, probably the DJing thing for me. He would always be going out to DJ somewhere. He would take me with him. Or on a Sunday, you know, you wake up, you got to do the house chores. But if the music's banging,
Trust.
you know, Pops is in a good mood, you know what I'm saying?
It's nice.
So
I used to love waking up to them, like
it was
love,
probably
the
Lovers Rock, the
and,
soul music, like, so
literally.
they're probably the best memories. Do you know what I'm saying?
Nice, love that.
Yeah, it was good.
So obviously you mentioned that you've got children. You know, before you had children, you know, but when you initially found out that you was having your daughter, for example, because that's your first child, you know, what kind of emotions were you going through? Like, what age was you? Where was you at? How was you feeling?
I was, right, so I was 22
Okay.
when I found out that I was having my firstborn. And I was really like, I didn't know what to expect. I just knew I was young. And I was like, I don't think I was working too much at the time. I was doing music myself. I was playing a bit of football. I was like, I didn't know really where I was at in life, innit? But I knew my partner, when she told me, I knew I had to step up. That's all I knew. And I thought, you know what? Whatever's going on in my life kind of not has to come to a halt, but I have someone else that depends on me now. Do you know what I mean? So whether it was, right, I'm going to take a step forward and do my music hardcore or football or go out and get a 9 to 5, I just knew, you know what, you got to step up as a man and provide in it for your kids, you know what I'm saying? And now you've got your own family, you have to just do what you got to do as a man in it as well. So, but I was scared, didn't know what to expect. I wasn't living the best life at the time, but I knew I had to change for the better because I didn't want my kids to experience anything negative. And I wanted to be a role model for them, especially how my dad was a role model for me, innit? So that was the main thing. But yeah, man, I was scared at the time, but just dealt with it, I guess. And I got a big family as well.
Yeah, that helps.
So not only my dad, but I got uncles, older cousins that are my age, aunties that are like second mothers to me. Do you know what I'm saying? I got my own mum, my sister. So a lot of guidance as well, innit? Helped and kind of like calmed me down a bit until like it was like, don't stress too much. Like, you'll be cool regardless of what's going on. And I'm grateful for that because not a lot of people have that big support system. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely grateful for that. But at the age I was, I feel like I was too young, but at the same time I wouldn't change it for the world. Do you know what I mean?
No, definitely. I can relate to that, you know, having children quite young as well, that I wouldn't change it because I feel right now at the age that I am now, I feel like to start from now, I don't know, I don't think I'm going to have the same kind of patience or energy, do you know what I mean, to kind of deal with how I was, you know, with them when they were younger. I had a lot more energy. I was able to kind of get up and show up and do things, and it's nice because you kind of see you're growing up with them and they're growing up with you. So yeah.
And experiences, like we're older now, so you're more mature as well.
Exactly.
But at the same time, when you had kids young, like you had to just step up, and it made you who you was, right? Like, because if you didn't, then what would they're looking at you like, raw, like you're my mum or my dad, like they're looking at you for guidance. So you have to just be that person to step up and do what you've got to do. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, overall, like, I was scared at the time, but I was actually happy, you know. I was actually happy. I was definitely happy because obviously I was in this bubble where I was like, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but when that came, it was like it just lifted me up because I was like, wow, I'm actually having a baby. Like, this is like, it's an amazing feeling at the same time. Do you know what I'm saying? Because whatever negative was going on, that was my positive now to look forward to,
Definitely.
which was really good at the same time as well. But yeah, if you're young, you don't know what to expect.
No,
You really don't.
So when your daughter came into the world, you know, how was that experience of, you know, seeing her come into the world, and what kind of emotions, how was you feeling?
I can't really remember my emotion. I know I was just over the moon. I was happy. I was over the moon, definitely. But I didn't really know how to feel at the time because I was overthinking about other things, most probably like financial situation, like where are we gonna live now, where what I need to go and get a proper job. So I was thinking about a lot of other things, but yeah, I was just like happy, and I kept looking. I remember looking at her and thinking, you know, you're like raw, like actually got a baby. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is like surreal, innit? Like I've actually got a daughter, and yeah, it was mad still, but like, I'm smiling now because I know how far I've come, and then I look at my daughter now. Look, she's what 13. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, my daughter's growing into she's a teenager, growing into a young lady. Like, it's amazing to look back at where I started and where I am now, and me and her relationship is amazing. Do you know what I'm saying? She can talk to me about anything.
Nice.
Like, and I want her to be like that.
No, 100%.
I want her to be able to be comfortable and be like, yo, dad, I got this going on, or dad, I want to go here, or dad, can you take me here? Can I do this? But I want that with my daughter. I don't want her to be like, all right, cool, I've only got to go to mom and hide things away from me. I want her to be like my daughter and her best friend as well. Do you know what I mean?
No, I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
So having a daughter as well, like, did it change your kind of perception on women? Did you kind of have certain things like, oh rah, like now I've got a daughter, I need to kind of change certain behaviours or ways because I don't want her to feel like that's okay? Or did you kind of switch things up?
I didn't. I don't think I switched things up when it came to females as a whole, because I've always respected females. Like I said, I've got a big family, a lot, what, four aunties on one side, two on another side, my mum, my sister, cousins. So my mindset didn't change towards females, but at the same time, I realized that with my daughter, I'm definitely going to have to show her the man that she needs to look at finding when she's old if she wants to, and I've got to be that example first of how she should be treated.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? And how I treat her mum at the same time as well, and
Exactly.
what I show her. So how me and her mum are together around her, she's gonna look at that and think, right, this is how a healthy relationship is. If we're arguing or fighting or there's violence or anything, she's gonna look at that and think, oh, this is normal. Do you get me? So there's none of that.
Oh, that's
Like,
good.
and it's always, if there is a disagreement, she sees us talking about things. Like, it's not shouting or
Screaming.
I'm walking out slamming the door. Like, I don't like any of that stuff anyway, to be honest. She sees that I'm looking after her. She sees how I am with grandma as well. My mom, like, she sees how I am with her aunts. Like, so yeah, it's just about being a positive example in it to your daughter as a man. You don't want to be showing them like, all right, cool, men can just treat women however,
No.
because her mindset might be, oh, this was normal in my household. Do you know what I'm saying? So when she finds a boyfriend that is putting his hands on her, she might think, oh, this is normal because this is what I saw with dad or blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that's what it's like in everyone else's household, but in mine, I feel like setting an example is a big thing. Do you know
Oh,
what I mean?
100%.
And visuals as well is a big thing, because you can say one thing and do another thing. And just, it's like that saying that your parents used to say, do as I say, not as I do, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? And when you're young, you're like, huh?
What?
How does that even make sense? Because
Yeah.
you've told me one thing, but you're doing another thing. But I get it. So now I say something and I actually go through with that. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I do believe that you have to practice what you preach.
Of course.
Definitely.
Of course.
Because, you know, you can't have certain expectations and then not expect, you know, them to kind of follow suit if you're moving a bit sideways. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing.
No, of course.
So when you had your son, like, what was the kind of age gap between having your daughter and your son?
There's 5 years.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, they're 5 years apart. When I found out their mum was pregnant with my son, like, I was in a totally different place. So by this time I was working constantly, had a good income, I was supporting. I really knew where I wanted to be and where I was going. So when I got the news, it was nothing but just joy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, I
gotcha,
was just on
gotcha.
a high. I rung everyone. Like, I didn't know,
I
obviously, I was
remember.
going to
It
have
was
a boy,
nice. No,
but I was
yeah.
like, right, I'm going to have my boy now. Do you know what I'm
But
saying?
it's weird because I remember that time. I actually remember that time, and it was weird that it was just automatically. I don't know. I just felt that we just all had this assumption that he was going to be a boy.
It's going to be
It's
a
just
boy.
weird. Like no one ever
I'm
spoke
telling
about a
you.
girl. It was like, yeah,
It's going to be a
the
boy. It's going to
yeah,
be a boy.
I remember. Wow.
And then obviously the day I found out, obviously when she gave birth and I was like, well, I had my boy, I was just like, yeah, that's me. I'm
Elated.
done. Like, I've got my little man now. Like, I'm good. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's even like, with my daughter, being a role model to her was like, right, I'm stepping up. But now I'm like, right, I got a son now. He's going to want to probably mimic everything that I do.
Everything.
Every little step, everything I'm doing. You're going to football, yeah, I want to come. You're doing this, yeah, I want to go here. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, so that was another, right, cool. Now you got to step up the levels again now. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he asks me questions about every little thing that I do. Like, why are you going here? Why are you doing that? Da, 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 da. Like, so yeah, that was another jump. But yeah, I was over the moon with that. Like, definitely. But I'm done now. I'm done now.
No,
I got
no
my
more.
daughter. I got my son. Like, I'm done. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's me.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So when you had your son, like, was there a kind of different way of thinking in terms of, was you ever fearful at one point? It's only because I am thinking more in the terms that, you know, how society is today and everything, and just how the youth are, you know, did you have any kind of fears about having a son? Are there any fears that you have in regards to having a son?
Sometimes, well, at the time, I wasn't obviously like that. As he started to get older, I've got, like you said, society's a bit mad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Especially with some of the youth in certain areas. I feel like there's not much guidance.
No.
Like when we was growing up, or me personally, we had the guidance, even though we might have still been out doing whatever we was doing. It wasn't as bad, or maybe it was, but we just didn't realize because we was teenagers. You don't really think it's that bad when you're in something. Do you know what I'm saying? So my fears for him is not only, do you know what, when he's a teenager and he goes out with his friends and his peers and he's out here, what's going to happen to him? It's not really that. My fears is that he's not confident sometimes. Like, I want him to be a confident person. I want him to be able to speak his mind when he needs to. I want him to be able to be emotional when he needs to be emotional about things. I want him to be able to go to his mum as well as come to me about things, or his sister, or his gran and granddad, aunts, uncle. Like, that's one of my bigger fears than him getting into trouble or anything like that. I want him to be very confident. I want him to be able to say, do you know what? I want to go into this sport or that sport, or do you know what? I want to be a lawyer, a doctor, or do you know what? I just want to go traveling. I want to, do you know what I'm saying? I really want him to be that. As much as my daughter as well, but she's at that age now when she's confident. She does whatever she wants to do. She wants to do basketball, netball, swimming. She just goes for it. So that is one of my biggest fears, that he's not confident and he doesn't come and speak to me about certain things, or he worries that, oh, do you know what, I can't tell dad this because he might get upset about something. And that might be a downfall on my side because I'm very confident myself. And sometimes I say to him, do you know what, can't be scared about certain things. But also at the same time I say to him, do you know what, if you are, then just say, do you know what I'm saying? So, but otherwise in society, I don't worry like that, because I will teach him how to move in certain areas and tell him to be very smart about, or calculated about, his decisions he makes when he gets to that certain age. I'm like that with my daughter now. Do you know what I mean? If she's going out with her friends, don't be on your phone while you come back on the bus on your own, or put your phone away. Be very aware of your surroundings and things like that. So yeah, but you know what? You can't really worry too much. What you're gonna do? Going to work, worrying. Oh, where is he? Going to this way. Oh, where is? Like, you just gotta have faith in it that, you know what, your kids are gonna move the right way when they're not with you, and if you install that in them, then they will. Do you know what I'm saying?
But yeah, I do believe that, because even with like daughters, do you know what I mean? If they're out, and sometimes I'll send that message like, make sure you message me when you're there, and you know, they kind of sense that I do worry and I stress. But the one thing that, like, especially my eldest, she's like, Mum, you've taught us, you've brought us up right, we know, like, you know. But it's not, I don't think sometimes it's always about you fearing that they're going to do something. It's other people, like, it's other people's. I said, you can have the best awareness, you can be streetwise, but it just takes that one person for you to have that kind of confrontation with, and it can go completely left. Do you know what I mean?
And you can't control other people's actions. You can't. That's true. But you know, to the best of your ability, you can try and avoid certain situations.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Especially as a young man, you don't want to be seen as the weak one at times. So when you could avoid something and just walk away, be like, boys, come, we just leave. Yeah. Sometimes you're like, no, let's stay, because you've got that ego thing about you. Do you know what I mean? So I'm trying to let him know that, like, I talk to my son now and say to, like, he might cry, and I'll go down on one knee, same level as him.
Nice.
What are you crying about? Oh, this happened, that happened, or I grazed my leg. All right, cool. Have a little cry. It's all right for you to cry, but what do we do after? And he'll be like, oh, dust myself up, get back up, keep going. Yep, get back on your bike. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm letting him know it's all right to have that side, but after that, get up and try again. Do you know what I'm saying? 100%. I'm not telling him, don't cry, because that was the sort of thing that was installed in me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Come on, you're tough, like, yeah, I know I'm tough, but that shit hurts, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that shit hurts, bro. You get me? Exactly. So I definitely do that with him. I definitely let him know, yep, cry. If it's something silly, then I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
Do you get me? Your sister said no, that's it. You're not crying about that. But if it's something where I'm like, yeah, do you know what? Let it out, wipe your eyes. Come on, let's go again.
That's nice. No, I love that, because I think a lot of young children kind of don't get that these days, you know, especially if you have that parent that's stuck in that kind of mentality that, you know, you have to man up and, you know, not show emotions and stuff. And I think that is part of society's problem with young people, you know, especially when it comes to young boys, that they have kind of been brought up with that narrative that is not healthy, you know, because we all feel we have emotions, and we need to have an outlet.
Like, don't get me wrong, I feel like sometimes it's necessary for you to have that that strong male in your family or around you. I feel like it's necessary for men to look after females. I feel like that sometimes men are a bit soft when they need to be a bit harder. I feel like there are times like that, but sometimes more. I don't know. I feel like it's just about an even balance with everything in life. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm one of them type of guys where I always feel like men should protect females. 100%. But I feel like I've seen a lot of men that don't. Whether it's a video that's been posted online and people just record and not do anything, when they could actually be more active and stopping the situation. And then there's times where I feel like, do you know what? That guy there is broken, bro. Let him vent in it and let him let out whatever he's got or whatever demons he's fighting, like people say, in it. Do you know what I'm saying? So, about finding the balance, I guess. If that makes any sense.
No, I totally get what you mean. But even reflecting on, you know, that there are not a lot of men out there that will kind of put themselves in a position to advocate for another woman. Do you know what I mean? She said there's a lot of, like, kind of bystander behaviour these days, which are not helpful. And in general, as women, do you know what I mean? They have a lot of fears. Just kind of walking down the street. Do you know what I mean? And, like, even with young girls, like, kind of going off topic, but kind of relating. It's like, I had a discussion with someone the other day who basically was upset that his partner had given a number to someone while they were out, and he got really angry. And I said, but did you ask her why? I'm not saying that, I'm not going to stand and be like, it's okay for her to give her next man the number. But I said, why did she do it? And he was like, oh, she just gave it because she said that, you know, it's easier to kind of get, like, for him to kind of go away. And I said, but a lot of the time women do that. They will give someone their number and just block it. Because these, if you give someone a fake number, they're going to ring that. And then they'll
Yeah,
come back
yeah.
to you like, oh, it's a fake number.
Yeah.
And then that's going to kind of cause
So it's like a protection thing as well.
It's a protection.
Let me
where
get
you're
out of
kind-
this situation by doing something, and then later on I deal with it in another way.
Because a lot of times men, and it's not just men, it can be women as well, but I find a lot of the time men don't take rejection very well in that dynamic. So a lot of times females kind of act a bit, I don't want to kind of say the word submissive, but they kind of just go with the flow just to kind of get out quick as they can without having the
And that's
drama
understandable.
with
It's
it.
about your safety more than anything.
Because
like-
a lot of men won't step in and be like, oh bro,
Yeah,
the woman said no,
yeah.
leave her. Because
Yeah.
even in their heart they actually might want to do that, but then that thing can probably cause a potential confrontation between
with them,
this guy and that
they
guy.
don't really want that sort of
And
conversation.
they don't want that. Do you know what
Of
I mean?
course. No, I hear you. Definitely.
But,
Definitely.
yeah, it's a mad one. With so you spoke about being like parent, but what would you say has been one of your biggest challenges so far?
Biggest challenges as a parent. Wow, I've never actually thought about that one.
Put
I've
you on the
never thought
spot.
about that one. My biggest challenges as a parent.
So it could be when they were little, like you could kind of break it down, but I'm just like generalizing to kind of give you space.
Okay, so I don't know if it's a biggest challenge, but what I found difficult when my daughter was a baby was being hands-on with the whole changing nappy thing, waking up doing the whole bottle thing, and then when she was a baby and she couldn't really crawl and anything, it was hard for me to I'd sit there with her and connect and stuff and be like yeah, and then I'd be like, but what do I do now?
Yeah.
She just doesn't do anything. So it was hard for me to until she started crawling, then I could be like, yeah, right, we're getting active now. That was probably difficult. And then obviously when I had my son, I was a lot more hands-on. I knew more what to do.
Yeah.
But then as she's turned into a teenager and she's obviously going through the whole, the puberty stage and
hormones.
things like that, I think that's more difficult for me because I'm I've got to allow her privacy as well as still be right, who's she talking to on the phone, and she obviously might shut her room and be playing her video games with her friends, but she's on TikTok, is she looking at this or whatever. So sometimes that's a bit difficult, and if she goes out, I'm not really one of them guys that's oh, what boys are you with? But I still am at the same time.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I don't want to be too strict on that sort of thing for her to like I said, hide things from me.
That's what
Do you know what I
happens,
mean?
yeah.
So she's even mentioned a couple of friends, and I'm like, well, bring them to the house. If they're friends, bring them to the house. And she's like, nah, they're not gonna come to the house. So I'm like, why not? Let me meet them. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I remember when I was young, and my dad was like, I want to know who your friends are. Remember, we didn't have phones and stuff.
No.
So it was like, you're going out, be back by this time. What friend are you going to see? I'm going to see whether Aaron, Dominic, this person. All right, cool. Where are they? He might even come around one day. Oh, they live there. Cool. No probs. Speak to their mum and dad. I was pretty lucky because my dad knew all the parents anyway because he was a caretaker at my primary school.
Oh, sick.
So that was just easier for me. If I mentioned someone, he'd be like, yeah, cool. I know who they
that
are.
is.
I know their parents. Go chill around there. So, but I guess the difficult thing is allowing her privacy more as she's getting older. And I know she's a good kid, innit? So trying not to kind of get onto her too much about stuff.
No, I agree.
And not be too strict. That's probably difficult because I feel like growing up, my dad was very firm. He wasn't physical like that, but obviously you get the occasional slap, whatever. That's how it was when we was growing up. Do you know what I'm saying?
Standard.
But it wasn't I never used to get beat all the time because it wasn't like that. But my dad was one of them people. He said something. Cool, let me sit down now.
Yeah, what dad
Do you know
says
what I'm
holds
saying?
weight, and you just gotta yeah.
And my brother was the same. My brother might just start crying straight away, and I'll be like, why are you crying? But he was younger than me, innit? So my dad's voice, as soon as he said something, my brother would be like, yeah, this is peak. But I'm like, alright, cool, that means you need to calm down. Let's just go upstairs and get out of his way. Or he might have had a long day. And he don't want to come back and we're wrestling and banging, doing this and doing that. He's just like, come out. Do you get me?
True.
Told you how many times. Do you get me? But so that's my thing. I'm not trying to be too strict on them. And that's something that I'm trying to change, because if you don't change it, then you install the same thing on them. And then
100%.
they have kids and then they use the same thing that
Tactics,
you used on them, and then it never breaks. Like
That side.
the whole thing about, oh yeah, back in the day people used to beat their kids and yeah, that was then. Like, you don't need to do that, and we've learned that we don't need to do that because our kids are good kids without us being physical. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Definitely.
yeah, that's probably the difficult thing about it.
And I think sometimes as well, it kind of builds up that kind of resentment. You know, I'm not speaking for everyone, but, you know, I think a lot of the times, you know, from our generation, it's like, if you did get a level of punishment, there was a punishment without a kind of an explanation. So sometimes you knew you messed up.
Yeah.
But it's like, is there no talk about this?
Yeah.
Is there's no...
Tell me why it's got to be this sort of punishment.
You know,
for
why
what
couldn't we
I've
had a
done.
conversation or whatever, or, you know, that wasn't there. And I feel that this generation do benefit from having those conversations. Like, even my daughters, they were like, Mum, you know, we appreciate that you will talk to us, you know, ask us that we're okay. You know, even when I do worry, and, you know, sometimes I find myself apologising. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to bug you. And it's like, no, Mum, like, the response I get is like, no, Mum, it's nice. Not many parents actually care about their kids in that way. So for them, it kind of makes them feel good, even though it's part of me, I feel like, oh, I'm bugging you. But I just say I do it because I care. I care. Do you know what I mean? I genuinely care.
And if I don't message, then you're gonna think, hold on a minute, why ain't Mum messaging me, or why ain't Dad ringing me on checking up on me?
No, it's mad. What advice? So obviously, having your experience of like fatherhood and, you know, the experiences up until this point, reflecting back, like, what advice would you give to like your younger self?
So I'd probably tell my younger self not to panic so much. I'll probably tell my younger self to take the advice from my parents a bit more, because where I was like a young man, I was like, oh no, I'm good. But I would have probably listened and took the advice a bit more, and listened to my partner as well when she was saying certain things. Where my ego took over, I'd be like, no, I'm cool, I can do this, I can do that, and juggle family life. Where no, do you know what, you can't, because it keeps going wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? So I take advice a lot more. I stop worrying about what other people think.
Such a
I wish I would have known that when I was a young little youth. Don't worry about what other people think, or what other people are doing around you. You can miss that rave, you can miss that little party there, you can miss... Do you know what I'm saying? It ain't going anywhere, it's still going to be there. Like, and there are things that my dad used to always tell me. He's like, Dad, I need to go to that rave. No, you don't. And then I found myself going there and being like, I really didn't need to go to this rave.
I should have just stayed in my house.
Do you know what I'm saying? So... definitely take advice more. Stop worrying about what other people think, and just take a breather, man, and not panic about things. Listen, you're gonna learn along the way. Not everyone's perfect. Our parents was learning along the way.
They were.
Do you know what I'm saying? And that helped me with my journey, because I used to think, why are we going through this and why are we going through that? Like my dad or my mum or blah blah blah. I think, wow, they were learning as well, you know, like. My dad and my mum was young parents, do you know what I'm saying? And they was learning along the way. So they didn't have it all figured out, but they done the best that they could. Do you know what I'm saying? They always made sure I had a roof over my head, I had food in my belly, I was always in school. I wasn't in beat down clothes. Like, I know there was probably times my dad probably went without, so I had to. Do you know what I'm saying?
100. And it happens.
So,
it happens.
And it happens, yeah, it definitely does.
I've done it myself.
Because we'd all
Do you know what I mean?
go without to make sure that our kids have got, do you know what I'm saying? But more than that, for me, I feel like after that question, I'm just going to say, spend time with your kids, innit? More than anything. As a father, that's what I try and do more. Spend time with my kids, whether it's we're at home and I'm playing computer with my son, or role play with these wrestling figures, or me and my daughter are playing games, or we go out to the park, or if we go to the cinema, or whatever it is, or she's showing me a dance on TikTok or
No,
something,
yeah.
or do you know what I'm saying? Like little things like that, just engage more and spend more time, because that's the most important thing. The
It is,
time.
because you don't get that time back, and I feel it's so easy for you to kind of, obviously your children need materialistic things. Do you know what I mean? They're growing all the time, blah 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 blah. But at the same time, that can't just be it. You can't just think, oh, just because I went and bought my daughter a pair
Yeah.
of son, a pair of trainers, or a
The
tracksuit,
I'm good now.
or a
Like,
bag that I'm good. They're gonna be good for a couple of weeks
Yeah,
until
yeah.
payday or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not about that. Your kids don't care. They
They
don't
just want to
care
spend time
about
with you.
that. They will be happy for you to just pick them up and go to the park.
Yep.
Do you understand? Go and get a little MacD's. Even if it's not a MacD's, go and make a little picnic and go and sit in the
Go
park.
and sit in the park.
Actually, just spend quality time where you are actively listening
Yeah.
to them, taking an interest, because there are people that don't even know the things that their children
I
are
know,
into.
I
Don't know
know.
your children's hobby, don't know their favourite colour, don't know their school friends, don't know the school subjects that they've chosen
Yeah.
if they're, doing their GCSEs or whatever. Just have conversation, and they will respect you so much more for that, because as a child, you said you care a lot about what people think, and I think your biggest validation that you need as a child is from your parent.
From your parents, yeah, definitely.
If you're not getting that kind of love or that guidance, or as I said, that kind of active listening, quality time, it's like, what's the point? And as the kids grow up, they start to have their own life, especially when they go into teenagers, to start going out with their friends and this, that, and the other. And I'm not saying your relationship change. Well, it does change, but they're living their life now. So their priorities are their friends and their interests, not so much as you as a parent. And I feel if you don't put in the work from early, when they kind of start leaving the nest, you're not going to be a priority on their timeline.
And it's going to be gone.
And it's going to be gone, and you can't get it back.
Yeah, it's true. Definitely.
You know what I
There's
mean?
things that my son does now, and I was like, I can see how quick this is going to turn into, oh, Dad, I'm playing with my friend now. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I might walk in, oh, should we play thing? Oh, I'm going to play online with my friend. Okay, cool, big man. Don't need me no more.
But it makes you feel some type of way.
Yeah.
It does, because it burns, because you're just like,
But that's how
wow,
it is.
they've got their own little lives now.
Yes, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I have a weekend, I work, so sometimes I'm like trying to rush home from work on a weekend. And I'm like, yeah, cool, I'm going to go and do this with the girls. And then I come in, it's like, oh, we're going up south to go skating. And I'm like, what? Since when? Like,
what about me?
I've made no plans now, and I'm
What
just
about
like,
me?
like, kind of thing. So no, it's definitely important to kind of have
That quality time, man.
100%, definitely. What advice would you give to other dads? So in regards to, because obviously not everyone's in kind of the situations where they actively get to see their children. Do you know what I mean? As well, there's there could be so many different dynamics in terms of fatherhood, where, on one side there are actually absent fathers that actually choose to be absent. There's fathers that, they're in conflict with the mother of their child. Kind of things like that. What advice? As a whole, so it doesn't have to just be that, but as a whole, what kind of advice would you give to other dads out there?
I think as a whole, just try and be as present as you can be. Whether it's like you said, you could be in a situation where the mother is being difficult and she's not trying to let you, but then just try and go down other avenues. And I can't speak too much on that side of things, because I've never had it that way. I've always been able to see my kids whenever, whether we was together or not. She's never denied me access to my kids. She's always been like, come and see them. Do you know what I'm saying? So I can only imagine how difficult it could be. Like, but I feel like just try as much as you can, because even if you're only seeing them, whether it's once every 2 weeks or once a month, or she lets you see them once for that 6 months, at least you've kept on trying. Because I know if you don't, then you won't see them, innit? Do you know what I'm saying?
It's about consistency.
Guys that are absent because they just don't care and don't want to be involved, do better, innit? Just do better, because how many years down the line you might get a phone call, or your mom or dad sees your son or your daughter and they're acting a certain way, and that might be because of your absence. You know what I'm saying? And you not being a role model in their life. And from what statistics say, like fathers that ain't around or present in the kid's life is a big negative. Sons either go prison, end up in this system, that system, not doing well at school. Daughters are the same. Do you know what I'm saying? So that shows you need to be present.
Present.
So
100%.
for me, just try and do better in it. Like it's not much. It's not hard. In my eyes, it's not hard anyway. Like
I think sometimes as well, you said, do you know what I mean? It's like about swallowing your pride in certain
yeah,
situations, do you know what I
like
mean? And putting aside your ego, because ultimately it's about your children, you know? It doesn't matter about what conflicts you and, you know, you have. It's about the children. And like, even in my situation, like, do you know what I mean? I've only been able to kind of effectively, properly co-parent for maybe the last four years, maybe.
yeah, yeah,
And it's taken a long time to get to that stage, but I've had to have that narrative where we're like, doesn't matter about whatever conflict me and you have.
It's about them.
Then it's about them. Do you know what I mean? We chose to go and have children. We chose to lie down with each other. This is what's happened. You know, we have to move forward
Yeah,
in a
definitely.
healthy way.
Definitely.
So I'm just gonna look at the comments quickly. Someone's put, my biggest advice to men is to be intentional when picking your partner. So this is by Ice King. I agree. I think sometimes
That's definitely a big one.
it's a big one, but then at the same time, depending on how long you've been around that person, some people have a bit of a mask, so you don't know. You could be literally thinking, I'm actually dealing with this kind of person, and then next minute now they could have the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Or even going through, you know, going through
Someone could just change.
going
and think
through
about
pregnancy
it
as well, because I found pregnancies like that. I found that when I got pregnant, I resented my children's dad. I was like, no, seriously, I was like, oh my God, like, what have I done?
Yeah.
But, you know, whether that was because of my hormones and everything changing, but then, you know, people, like we kind of had this discussion earlier, it's like when you're going through hard times or things that are challenging, that's when you see the real people. That's
Yeah.
how you see how people really are.
100%.
And sometimes it takes very
100%.
detrimental situations to happen for you to see the true colours of
Yeah.
someone. So you could go in and be in a relationship and they're showing their best self, and then when things go left, you're like,
They're
oh,
just like,
raw, like,
yeah.
since when?
No, of course. But
Do you know
like
what I mean?
like you were saying, you definitely have to. I don't feel like it should be a situation where, do you know what, you meet someone a month later they're pregnant and thing, but things happen. Do you know what I'm saying? But definitely, we've got to make better choices and better decisions when we're picking our partner. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you said, anything can happen. The person could switch or end up being pregnant, or hard times. The guy's just like, I'm not even. Do you know what? This is too much. I'm gone. Like, you can't blame the female for that, and you can't blame the guy if the female gets pregnant and she's just like, bro, get away from me. You can't. But there is certain things you can do. You can definitely be dating someone for a lot longer. What are their morals? Do you have the same morals? Is she nurturing, or is she that sort of female that you look at and then see like things that your mother was doing when you was young? Like, do you know what I mean? To be like, right, do you know what? This woman definitely is going to be a great mother to my kids, whether it works out or not. Like, because that is the big thing as well. If it doesn't work out, is she still going to be
Biggie.
a great mom? Yes.
Or is he going to
Cool.
still be a
I'm
great dad?
Do you know what I'm saying?
100%.
And that's how I feel. Whether me and my partner was not to work out, I still know she's gonna do the best that she can to look after my kids, and she knows that I'm gonna be the best father I can be. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's definitely one of the things that we both looked at in each other, I think, before we even knew what we was doing. Do you know what I'm saying? But we both knew that we were good people.
Yeah.
And yeah, we made it work. Definitely.
No, that's nice. That's definitely nice. That's definitely nice. What I was gonna ask you. obviously being a parent, like when you look back, because we kind of touched on obviously like your childhood experiences and stuff and your relationship with your dad. Was there any point when you had your children that you were able to kind of reflect back and get some kind of clarity or understanding of as to why your parents may have done certain things or acted a certain way? Did you
Oh
get any
yeah.
kind of clarity?
No, definitely. Even now, even now, like I'm saying stuff that my dad and my mom were saying to me, like, and I'm like, oh my days, I can't believe I'm saying this, like, or I look back and my son's doing certain things, and I'm just like, when I say, don't do that, boom, brush it off, like, I told you not to do that. Don't come cry to me. I told you not to do that. And that's the same things that my dad used to say to me. Don't climb up there. Don't jump off that. I bust my head. He's like, well, I told you not to climb in the tree. Like, and that was one of the biggest things. My dad told me, don't climb the conker tree. But we wanted conkers. How you telling a kid that's 10 years old, don't climb the conker? I want the biggest conkers, and they're at the top of the tree, and everyone else is climbing the tree. Let me climb the tree. I dropped out the tree. I dropped out the tree. My mom's calling. What happened? Well, I told her not to climb the tree, innit? Simple.
That's
like,
it. No sympathy.
Do you know what I'm saying? That is it. Like, and they're the sort of things that I'm like with my kids, or, yeah, I hear myself saying things, and I'm like, that is exactly what my parents were saying, or my granny was saying to me, like, and I'm like, it all makes sense. It all makes sense to me now. So that brings back to the whole, if I was telling someone or my younger self, just listen a bit more. Do you know what I'm saying? Don't think you know everything, because you don't. And you're growing. And just take some time, take a step back sometimes, and think to yourself, well, why was he telling me that? Or why was my mom telling me that at that time? Oh, because when your parents always said, I don't like that friend.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
How many times did they say, I don't like that friend?
Gosh.
Or your nanny used to be like, I don't like that friend.
Don't bring that person back in my house.
That's my bedroom. Like, it's cool. And then how they say, you're like, raw, I know why they didn't like you. Do you get me? Because you weren't a real one. Do you know what I'm saying? I was down and look what happened. Or you done this or moved sideways. So yeah, definitely. And I'm like, my dad used to be like, pick your friends. Or yeah, you think you've got 100 friends now, but really and true, you're only going to have like 5 friends when you get older. I can count mine on there. And I used to think, I got loads of friends.
Yeah.
What's he on about? Do you know what I'm saying? And now I'm saying the same thing to my daughter. Like, yeah, she's like, yeah, I got loads of friends. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, let's see.
But when you get older, you're not going to have that. Why? And I'm like, don't worry. Like, you'll get it one day. Do you know what I'm saying?
Talking about friends, did you find that your relationships changed when you had your children?
Quite a lot, actually. Quite a lot of them changed in one way, shape, or form. Because, like I said, I weren't being the most positive person. I was running around doing whatever at the time. I was looking for work, but I was still involved in certain things I shouldn't have been involved in. And then I had my daughter, and I was like, well, I gotta fix up. I can't be gallivanting like they say, innit, and be doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that. What's gonna happen? Who's gonna look after my daughter if something happens to me? And then when I started saying to certain people, no, I'm not rolling, I'm not doing this, or the people looking at me like, why not? I'm like, well, I've got a daughter I gotta look after, bro. Like, so it was that kind of response. Like, so like you've always rolled, yeah, but now I've got a different responsibility.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely started dropping certain people out. A lot of the real ones did say, bro, go and do what you're doing, and still see me to this day, and I like love what you're doing. Do you know what I'm saying? I see when you're posting stuff with your son or your daughter, and I love the fact that you've stuck at what you said you wanted to do. Like, they do praise me. That a lot of the people that I don't even speak to anymore, and do you know what? I'm just like, I hope they're cool. But we had different paths, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? And you're walking yours, I'm walking mine, and that's about it.
No, that's nice. What part of parenting would you say that you would want to kind of like improve on, firstly, and then secondly, what are, in terms of like milestones, what are you looking forward to?
I'd like to improve on my patience.
Okay.
We all know how kids can be. Do you know what I'm saying? And sometimes,
Test your patience. Boy.
they test your patience so much. Be telling my daughter, like, read a book, or mum will be like, why ain't you read your thing? Oh, yeah, I'm gonna. Or do this, or do that. And in the end, I'm just like, you know what, I'm taking your iPad, or I'm taking your phone away because you're not listening. Do you know what I'm saying? And I try and keep it, like, as low as possible, but sometimes, yeah, my patience runs low. My son as well keep repeating. Come on, we gotta go here. We gotta get ready. And he's just in his tablet, just like, what? Like, I thought you said you're ready. I am ready. Why aren't your socks on? Why aren't your shoes on? What's going on, brother? Like, come on. Do you know what I'm saying? So I like to improve on my patience.
Nice.
I always like to improve on my communication skills with them and the family as a whole.
Okay.
Definitely. And in the future, do you know, I've never actually thought about the future too much, you know. I've just always thought, you know what, as long as I'm doing my job and I'm going out and I'm working and I'm making sure we're financially stable and I'm making sure I'm a support system, physically, mentally, financially, then I feel like, do you know what, I'm doing good in it. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm always trying to be positive and be that role model. Then I feel like the future's always going to be bright for me, the kids, the family as a whole. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm always encouraging the kids to do whatever they want that is positive for them, whether it's new sports, new books, trying a new language or trying a new game, or dad, help me with this. No, you try and put that together today. Like, I'm always helping. No, you try. That's how you learn, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? With their mum, you want to try something new? Go on, what job are you looking at now? Like, cool. I'm always trying to be that positive person, but I'm also a realist as well. So I'm like, you know what I'm good at, and I just try and do what I'm good at to the best of my ability. Do you know what I'm saying? To keep shit running like clockwork. Do you know what I'm saying?
Nice.
But yeah.
Cool. And what advice, if you feel that you could, give to, not advice, how can I word it, in a way that, what could women do, that's how I want to put it, what could women or mothers do that could help dads? Because as you said, I feel like sometimes, there's no guidebook into being a parent, and sometimes we don't have time to have these conversations between kind of mum and dad, kind of thing. And I think everyone kind of just gets in their zone and just kind of does what they need to do on their day to day. But as a man, what do you feel what women could actually do to kind of help support you guys in your kind of this parenthood journey?
I think communication is the best thing, to be honest.
Okay.
With me anyway. And I think it might help a lot of people as a whole, the communication. If the mother communicates, because none of us are mind readers, innit?
100.
And I feel like females sometimes be like, men should just know this. And we're like, yeah, but females should just know we don't know this then, innit? Kind of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? So communicate.
It's true.
And it's like, if you communicate, and it's a way things are said as well. So don't just be like, do this, blah, blah. Like, have a sit down, right, cool. I feel like you should be doing this more, or I feel like this is what you're strong at doing. So I feel like on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever, you take care of this and let me take care of blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
And I feel like, because remember, you're a team, innit? You're raising the kids together. If you've got to a point like I have, where my daughter's 13 and my son's 7, and do you know what I'm saying? You should already know, right, cool, we both stand on the same things. So you shouldn't really cross each other too much. Okay. There might be things, obviously, as my daughter gets older and mum's like, no, but I want this. And I'll be like, hold on a minute. You said this before. And she's like, oh, but I've changed. Cool. There you go. Communication. Let's sit down. Let's talk about it. Do you know what I'm saying? So that should definitely help when it comes to the female side of things. And remember, well, from what I know, females are a lot more emotional in certain ways.
Okay.
So I feel like the conversations, I feel like me, do you know what, let me say this. Me as a man, I feel like I'm more physical, innit?
Yeah.
So tell me to do something and let me go and do it. Do you get me? I'm not one to be like, let's sit down and have an hour conversation. But if there's something wrong or you feel like something needed, come to me, tell
Tell
me,
me.
let me go and do
Don't
it.
do it.
Do you get me? That's how I am, and I feel like that's how it works very well, like in our household, innit? So I feel like communication is definitely a big thing. Um, yeah, that's about it, really.
Nice.
That's about it, really. I hope I've been good today, because
No, it's been amazing because as
off
I
the top
said,
of the dome.
I just, as I said, I kind of want this to just be organic and just for
No, of
us to just
course.
have these conversations that are not always kind of spoken about or shown light or perspective. And that's kind of what I want: real life
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
real life stories, and I'm hoping that this is going to help someone along their way. The listeners, the viewers, just to take little
Yeah.
gems
Yeah.
from it and kind of put it into their lives to make improvements, for us to all have these healthy relationships with people, whether it's in terms of you being a parent, your friendships, your family members, your siblings,
Yeah.
it's all about, as you said, like having communication, showing transparency, being honest about things, because people then can always relate. Because a lot of times when you're having these discussions, it can be quite superficial, or as I said, quite scripted, and
Yeah.
everything's
Yeah.
edited,
Yeah.
because people are thinking, oh, what if this offends this person, or worried about that
Yeah.
person. Like, we're all learning at
Of
the
course,
end of
no,
the
I'm
day.
not. Listen,
None of us are perfect.
we're not perfect, innit?
Do you
And
know
I'm
what I
still
mean?
learning along the way. Like,
Same.
I'm always learning along the way. Like, with my kids. Me as a man in general, I'm learning. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, my temperament is a lot better. Like I said to you earlier, like, I've been reading a lot more on how to deal with certain things mentally, and not just be like, do you know what? Oh, if it, I don't care. When really and truly you do, innit? Do you know what I'm saying?
You do.
And every action has a reaction. So if I deal with you a certain way, it might cause you to react in a certain way.
Yeah.
So that's inside the house and outside. So when something's going on and I'm a bit like, I'm not feeling right here, sit down, boom, let's have a conversation about it. Do you get me? And not just act out and be like, do you know what? I'm out, or do you know what? I don't want to chat to you. Like, no, sit down with adults here, innit?
Yeah,
Do you get
that's what
me?
it's with adults
And let's
now.
talk about this. Can we squash it? Yeah, cool. Let's move on. Boom, done. Do you get me? But yeah, I'm not perfect, but I hope I've helped someone today, and or someone relates and like, do you know what? I see what he's saying. I understand that, or they take a little bit away from what I'm saying and be like, do you know what? I like what he said there, or and you know what? I'm gonna go with that, or maybe I won't go with that because I'm cool in that department or whatever. But hopefully helped a young dad or a young mom today. Do you know what I'm saying?
Nice. No, thank you.
But it's been good.
No,
It's been good.
it's been really nice, and I just hope as well that everyone's outside, as I said, enjoying the sun today. Have
Hot.
some family, time.
Out today.
It's gonna be hot all week. So
Blazing.
yeah, enjoy. So guys, it's been me, T, here with my lovely guest, Del Boy,
Peace.
and we hope to see you soon. Hey, this is T on Just Cool Radio, disturbing the silence and catching the eyes of many.